If you're a returning viewer to the Bringleverse, then you'll remember that not so long ago I did a video where I speedran my college's Minecraft server right after it opened. I encountered a lot of weird challenges due to the fact that I was playing on a server and just because I had one try to play the seed where it lies, laid, Lou. So yeah, anyways, I did that and it was a funny video, a bad speedrun, but overall an okay experience. Now fast forward to a little bit ago when me and the Discord community decided to open a public Bringle Minecraft server and I had the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever conceived, and so I did. Just wanted to shove this in the video real quick. If you want to play with us and hang out on the Bringle Minecraft server, make sure you join the Discord that's linked below in order to get access to the server. Anyways, now the extra literate among you might notice that little bit tacked onto the end of the title. It didn't go well. That's because it didn't. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how the speedrun went because it was a very entertaining type of train wreck. It started off pretty much how you would expect. I spawned in, people started joining, and I immediately went and punched some trees. I spawned in a taiga biome, which is not a good sign right off the bat that I'm gonna have a good overworld experience, but right over this hill I saw an ocean, which is a much better sign. I boated around for a while looking for a shipwreck, and then I actually ended up finding a ruined portal first, which gave me a very clutch gold helmet, and then eventually I found the boat I was looking for. Not only did this chest have maybe the most iron that I've ever seen in any shipwreck in Minecraft, but it also had a buried treasure map for a treasure that was right nearby, so I beelined straight for it. The buried treasure gave me a bit more iron, some gold, some food, and even a single diamond. This means that I managed to get the first diamonds on the server and get the diamonds achievement in under 5 minutes, which I guess is kind of cool, or something like that. Now, I'm sure you watched that segment and are wondering when the speedrun turns horrible, because, I mean, you did just watch me climb straight into the upper middle class in the first 5 minutes of Minecraft, but don't worry, it starts now. I needed to find a lava pool in order to enter the nether, and like I mentioned in my last server speedrun video, Minecraft 1.17 and up made lava pools a lot harder to find than the older versions. I decided to use the age-old classic and dig straight down, which takes a while if you have to dig to -50 in order to find any sort of cave. And now I'm gonna pause the video right here because I want you to take a look at this screenshot right here and see what is wrong with this speedrun. Please, I need water. I found so much lava, but I forgot to get water. I knew I was gonna regret that. That popped into my head as soon as I started digging down. Yep, that's right. I am the biggest, stupidest, dumbest idiot on the face of the planet and forgot to put water in my water bucket when I was on the surface. I fumbled around this super weird cave generation for a bit looking for water and ultimately decided to give up and just dig back to the surface even though it would take forever. On the way back up though, I actually did find some water in this cave right here, so I was able to grab that, go back to my lava pool, and start building my nether portal. Just like the college server run, I decided to mine up 10 obsidian before I went into the nether because this lets me leave the nether from anywhere later, which pales in comparison to the small amount of time it takes to mine the obsidian. I hopped into the nether portal really hoping and crossing my fingers that I would see a nether fortress on the other side of the portal like I did in the last college server video, but nope, nothing. Oh god, I don't have a fortress immediately, that actually sucks. Fortunately though, the silver lining is that I spawned in a crimson forest, which gives me a bunch of hoglins that I can boil with my bucket of lava to get a massive supply of food. After that, it was a matter of picking the path of least resistance and holding Control plus W. At this point, I was keeping my eyes out for a nether fortress to get blaze rods obviously, and also a warped forest for ender pearls since I find that it's usually the most consistent way to get ender pearls in the newer versions of Minecraft. Moments later though, I actually ran into a bastion, which is a pretty interesting proposition for a 1.20 run. If you have a master's in Minecraft speedrunning, you'd know that bastions are the main meta for getting ender pearls in version 1.16. In 1.16 and 1.16.1, piglins have a 1 in 20 chance to trade 4 to 8 ender pearls, which is just amazing odds overall. Unfortunately though, after 1.16.1, Mojang nerfed piglin trades to be a 1 in 40 chance to only give you 2 to 4 pearls, which means you literally need 4 times as much gold to get the same amount of pearls as before. Top level runs in the newer versions of Minecraft actually still do use bastions pretty often, but they just end up resetting a lot more due to how much worse the trade rates are. Now if that was Minecraft speedrunning 101, let's get into 102. There's 4 different types of bastions in the game, each with a predetermined amount of gold blocks in them. The treasure bastion has has the most gold blocks in it, but is the most dangerous to navigate, especially after 1.16.1 when piglin brutes were added. The bridge bastion has the second highest amount of gold and is overall the easiest to navigate and extract the gold out of. The housing bastion is next, which has a good mix of gold and speed for 1.16 runs, but doesn't really have enough gold for newer versions of the game. And then last, and definitely my least favorite, is stables, which technically can have up there with the most amount of gold, but the gold can randomly generate in these 4 places in the bastion, which means you can either hit all 4 of them and get a ton of gold, or none of them can spawn and you get 0 gold blocks. So, boo. Stables. Now back to the Bringle server run. The bastion that I found here was actually a bridge bastion, which is overall the best bastion for modern Minecraft speedrunning. Since it was right there, I decided to hop in, mine the gold, and start doing some trading. I apparently really lucked out and there weren't any piglin brutes in this section of the bastion, so that just wasn't a thing that I had to deal with, which is very welcome. The reason that piglin brutes are such a big problem is not only did they do a ton of damage, but they aggro to you even if you are wearing gold armor, and they aggro all of the nearby piglins if you fight back against them. So anyways, it was just a matter of throwing these guys some gold and then waiting around for them to empty their pockets. After managing to get a huge 11 ender pearls in such a short amount of time, I sprinted away from the bastion as fast as I could because of regions. Large nether structures spawn using a system referred to as regions, which are 432 by 432 block areas in a grid that surround 0, 0. Fortresses and bastions take up the same structure slot in these regions, so only one of them can exist at a time. This can get kind of messy since big structures like fortresses and bastions can generate across multiple regions, but the game has a predetermined center block for these structures, and that is what is considered in the region. Anyways, I say all of that to say this. There's a bastion right here, which means I need to get out of town if I'm trying to find a fortress. Oh god, the lag. These hogs are done for. That actually sucked right there. God damn it. The bastion was pretty much squarely in the negative region, so I went on a straight diagonal line to get over to positive so I could check all of the surrounding regions. Unfortunately though, it didn't seem like there was a fortress nearby in any of these regions, so this whole thing ended up being much more complicated than it needed to be. I kept going in the positive direction, and I actually found a warped forest on the way, which is amazing because it let me get 2 more ender pearls to round out my collection with 13. Yeah, this has a similar problem to the college server where, the mob spawns were kind of sparse. What? Did you just see that? That was ridiculous. Stupid video game. Having an extra pearl or 2 is great because even if my Eyes of Ender break later or the end portal doesn't have any pre-filled in it, I still have a much higher chance of having the resources to open the end portal. Anyways, after that, I kept walking, and I didn't find anything useful for a very, very long time. I ran into multiple other bastions on my quest, which was actually a huge pain because, like I explained with regions, this meant that a fortress was not in that region, and so I had to keep going. No, that's another bastion. Why? Why have I found 3 bastions? No! This seed is trash. After over 20 minutes of sprinting and jumping and bridging and boating off ledges, I eventually found the holy promised lands, the Nether Fortress. Yes! Finally! Finally! I found one! Oh my god. I know that in terms of Minecraft, 20 minutes doesn't really sound like a lot, but just for context, I have beaten the whole entire game start to finish in under 20 minutes several times before. 20 minutes of walking actually sucks, and it makes me even more mad that it wasn't because of a skill issue, but instead a seed issue. I had plenty of fire resist potions, so I headed into the fortress, found the blaze spawners, and absolutely butchered the blazes with my iron axe with 0 problem at all. After I got 8 rods, I built my new portal right there so I could get out of the nether, and I eventually saw the light of day again, other than the fact that it was night. Now, since I was at roughly 1600x and 1300z in the nether, my overworld coordinates, when you multiply that times 8, ended up being a little unhinged. This ended up placing me in range for the 4th ring of strongholds that spawn around the origin point of a Minecraft world, which is definitely the furthest that I've ever been in any speedrun I have bothered to finish. In a normal scenario, you would obviously reset if you had to travel 2,000 blocks to find a nether fortress, but honestly that's why I find these server runs to be so interesting. You just end up doing a lot of stuff that's that's kind of unconventional and makes the run really interesting. Now in the overworld, I went ahead and threw some Eyes of Ender so that I could plug the angles into my stronghold calculator and figure out exactly where the stronghold was. Now that I had the coordinates, all I had to do was walk to them, and this really didn't take too long since I actually lucked out and ended up pretty close to a stronghold, especially for being in the 4th ring. And after getting there, I dug down into the stronghold and zoomed through, beelining the end portal. Honestly, if you watch back this footage, it looks like I scouted the seed and already looked at the stronghold, but no, I just lucked out and picked every right path first try, which is good because this is pretty much the only lucky thing that happened in this run. And of course, the end portal had 0 out of 12 eyes preloaded. There's a 1 in 10 chance for any of these end portal frames to be filled with an Eye of Ender, so it was really on brand for this run that there were 0. Even after one of my Eyes of Ender broke, I still had enough of them to fill the end portal, so I slapped all those eyes in the frame and then jumped into the end. Just a side note, by the way, something that I made sure to do earlier in the run while I was in the Bastion actually was use some of the string from the piglins to craft a bow. Using that bow and the huge pile of spectral arrows that I also got from the piglins, I can use that to take out the end crystals so I don't have to mess around with beds. Using beds is nice and consistent and easy on single player and even on some higher end servers, but given the fact that I'm a college student, I didn't pay for a super high end fast Minecraft server, so let's just say I needed to use arrows instead. I tagged down all of the crystals one by one, and then I started taking shots at the dragon, which was actually surprisingly easy to do considering the lag thing. And then she came in for a landing, which is a great time to get some extra damage with my axe. I ran up to get under the dragon in the fountain, and oops, no big deal, I'll just get my water bucket and... fucking piece of shit. The water bucket clutch is one of the most classic Minecraft parkour techniques, and it's literally not even hard, and I still managed to mess it up. Haters will say that I'm bad, but supporters will blame the lag. I think I'm just bad though. I looked at the footage and it looks like I right-clicked with the shield a little bit too early, so womp womp. So anyways, this left me in a little bit of a brine-soaked cucumber. I definitely wanted to finish the run because, I mean, I wanted to make a video about it. That's kind of one of the things that I do, but also it was my own goddamn server. Could I even call myself the real Bringle if I wasn't able to speedrun my own server? I don't think so. So I decided to go back and try again. But the problem with that is that the only stronghold in this whole world that already had a completed end portal was 13,000 blocks away on the x-axis and 10,000 away on the z-axis. At this point, I honestly debated if it would be faster to just start from scratch and go to a closer stronghold, but considering I'd have to find a fortress again and there probably just wasn't a close one anyways, I just decided to go back to the other one. So I gathered a fresh set of tools and started walking through the overworld, gathering some food along the way. I was obviously planning on using the nether to travel back because of the whole 8 times faster thing that you might be aware about, but this gave me a good chance to find some more loot and get plenty of food, so I'd say it was worth it. Eventually, I fumbled back down into a cave and found probably the worst lava pool ever known to man. I made it even worse by placing water in a really bad spot and turning a bunch of it into obsidian, but after digging around in this really stupid janky setup, I built the slowest nether portal of all time and got back into the nether. From there, all I had to do was go to the coordinates that my calculator still had written down and go back to that portal that I built in the fortress. And surprisingly, for some reason, even though I was going in a very similar direction to before, I actually traversed a lot of different terrain, not really sure why, but eventually I did overlap with my original path. Oh my god, those blocks are from me! My path is finally overlapped. I remember this place. I'm traveling over blocks that I placed with my own bare hands. That's kind of beautiful if you really start to think about it and dissect it a little bit. From there, I retraced my steps through the portal, across the overworld, into the stronghold, and then finally back into the end. I grabbed my stuff from before and I continued shooting the dragon. She came in for a landing once again, but this time I didn't get flung like a little piece of monkey shit in the exhibit at the zoo, and I was able to get her down to just a sliver of health with my axe. So I took aim and shot down that godforsaken dragon once and for all. And since this was a survival server that I did plan to continue playing on, I took some extra time to grab the dragon egg before hopping into the portal and stopping my timer with, I think, the second worst speedrun time I've ever put down in this game. I think back in 2020, my very first run of 1.16 was around 2 hours, so this just barely beat that, which is pretty terrible. And yeah, I'm sure even the most casual of you Minecraft viewers knew up to this point that this was a pretty abysmal speedrun time. And you know what? I think that calling this a speedrun is kind of insulting to anybody that's put some actual time into getting good at this game, and honestly, it might even be slower than some Minecraft Let's Plays that have been done out there. My biggest time loss was obviously the death against the Ender Dragon, which was not very cool or very clutch, but the second biggest time loss was the horrible Nether generation, so at least one of those things wasn't my fault, right? Am I coping? I'm definitely coping. And so that was the story of me speedrunning my very own Minecraft server. I hope you guys enjoyed this roller coaster as much as I did, and if you did, make sure you like the video and subscribe and leave a comment, because all of those things help tell YouTube that you really like the video and that other people should see it. So as always, GG folks, I'll see you next time.